Captain Elias "Shark" Moreno kept his breathing steady as the aircraft descended through thick layers of cloud. The altimeter numbers rolled downward faster than he wanted, but there was no other choice left. Both engines were failing, electrical systems flickering, and control authority weakening with every passing second. Beside him, Jenna. Wallace checked the final emergency lists. "Cabin reports passengers braced," she said quietly. "Rescue coordination underway. Naval units inbound." Moreno nodded, his eyes never leaving the horizon. Outside, the two F-22 Raptors stayed close, their pilots monitoring every movement of the wounded jet. Over the radio, one of them spoke again. "Shark, wind speed moderate. Wave pattern ahead looks manageable. You're lined up." Moreno adjusted. "I pitch and angle carefully. Too steep. The aircraft would slam nose first. Too shallow. The tail could break apart." There was only one narrow margin for survival. Brace for impact. Inside the cabin, flight attendants moved with focused urgency. Their voices were calm but firm as they repeated instructions. "Heads down, stay braced, follow commands." Passengers gripped armrests and held loved ones close. Fear filled the air, but discipline held them together. A young boy squeezed his mother's hand. A businessman shut his eyes and whispered, "Do a prayer." Across the cabin, strangers exchanged silent looks of support. Then came the captain's final announcement. "Ladies and gentlemen, this is the captain speaking. We will be landing on water shortly. Please remain in brace position. Follow crew instructions after impact." His tone was steady, reassuring, and it brought unexpected calm. Back in the cockpit, the radar altimeter counted down. 500 feet. Moreno eased the nose upward. 200 feet. He aligned with the waves. 50 feet. Time slowed. The impact. The aircraft struck the ocean with a thunderous crash. Water exploded upward in towering sprays. The fuselage groaned violently as it slammed against the surface and skidded forward. Inside, passengers were jolted hard against their restraints. Loose items flew across the cabin. Moreno fought the controls, keeping the wings level as the jet slid across the water. Seconds felt like hours. Then finally motion slowed. The aircraft came to a stop. Silence. Only the sound of wind and distant waves remained. Jenna exhaled in disbelief. "We're intact." Moreno allowed himself one breath of relief. Begin evacuation. Escape into the night. Cabin doors opened as crew members deployed emergency slides that transformed into floating rafts. Passengers moved quickly but orderly, guided by trained attendants. Cold ocean air rushed inside. Life vests inflated, rafts filled with survivors. Above them, the F-22s circled like silent guardians, transmitting coordinates to rescue teams. Their presence reassured everyone below. They were not alone. Moreno and Jenna stayed behind, checking every row, ensuring no one remained. Only after the final confirmation did they step into the raft themselves. Behind them, the aircraft floated, as wounded but still upright, illuminated by moonlight. Rescue arrives. Hours passed on the restless sea. Waves rocked the rafts, and passengers huddled together for warmth. Then distant lights appeared. Helicopters, ships. The rescue operation unfolded with precision. Survivors were lifted aboard, one group at a time. Relief spread as each person reached safety. A naval medic greeted Moreno as he stepped onto deck. "You saved them," she said. He shook his head, Jen. "T-lie. We all did." Behind them, the aircraft slowly slipped beneath the surface, disappearing into the Atlantic, its mission complete. The investigation. In the weeks that followed, the world learned the truth. Authorities recovered flight data transmissions and debris analysis. Engineers examined every detail. What they uncovered was chilling. The system failures were not random. They were caused by deliberate sabotage, a coordinated attempt to trigger catastrophic loss of control mid-flight. The plan relied on chaos and confusion, expecting no survivors to tell the story. But survival changed everything. Evidence led investigators to those responsible. Arrests were made. Security measures across the aviation industry were strengthened. The disaster had been intended as tragedy. Instead, it became a turning point. Legacy of the call sign. Captain Moreno returned home quietly, avoiding attention. Yet stories of his calm voice. The moment fighter pilots heard the words, "Call sign Shark, I'm landing on water," it spread far beyond aviation circles. It became a symbol of leadership under impossible pressure. Passengers sent letters of gratitude. Crew members spoke of unity and courage. Even the F-22 pilots described the operation as unforgettable. Moreno never considered himself a hero. To him, he simply did what training and responsibility demanded. But sometimes heroism is exactly that. Steady hands when others need them most. Closing reflection. The aircraft was lost to the ocean, resting far below where sunlight never reaches. Yet its story lived on, not as one of destruction, but survival. Hundreds of lives continued because of preparation, teamwork, and a pilot's refusal to surrender to fear. Disaster had come without warning. Darkness had surrounded them. But calm voices, clear decisions, and human resilience turned catastrophe into hope. And somewhere in recorded radio transmissions, preserved forever, a calm voice still echoed through the static, reminding the world that even in the worst moments, the Atlantic Ocean stretched endlessly beneath Flight 728, a silver aircraft gliding through the night sky at 35,000 feet. Inside the cabin, most passengers were asleep, their reading lights dim and window shades pulled down. A few watched movies on seat screens, while others whispered softly or sipped coffee to pass a long journey. To them, it was just another overnight flight. But in the cockpit, something wasn't right. Captain Elias Moreno, known by his military call sign Shark, leaned forward in his seat, studying the instrument panel. Years of flying had trained him to recognize trouble before alarms even sounded. And tonight, he felt it. A flicker. One navigation display blinked, then steadied again. "Did you see that?" he asked calmly. His co-pilot, Jenna Wallace, glanced at her screen. "Probably a glitch," she replied, though her voice carried uncertainty. Seconds late. A warning tone echoed through the cockpit. Then another. The engine performance readings began fluctuating. Small changes at first, then more severe. Jenna ran through the diagnostic menu, her fingers moving quickly. "That's not normal," she said. "Fuel pressure is unstable." Captain Moreno tightened his grip on the controls. "Contact maintenance frequency. Let's confirm." Before she could respond, a louder alarm blared. The aircraft shuddered slightly, barely noticeable to passengers, but unmistakable to pilots. Engine 2 began losing thrust. A calm cabin, for now. Back in the passenger cabin, flight attendants continued their routine. A mother adjusted a blanket around her sleeping child. A businessman typed on his laptop. An elderly couple shared quiet conversation. No one realized the aircraft had just entered a crisis. Then the seatbelt sign lit up. A soft announcement followed. "Ladies and gentlemen, please return to your seats and fasten your seatbelts. We're experiencing minor turbulence." The wording was deliberate. Calm, reassuring. Inside the cockpit, however, tension rose. Systems failing. Jenna's screen filled with warnings. "I'm losing data from the secondary control bus," she said. "That's not turbulence." Captain Moreno nodded. "Declare precautionary alert." She contacted air traffic control, explaining their abnormal readings. Controllers responded immediately, monitoring their path across the ocean. Then it got worse. A second engine. Fluctuation. Hydraulic pressure dipped. Navigation systems flickered again. This wasn't random failure. It was cascading. Moreno's instincts sharpened. "Run full diagnostic." Jenna executed commands, scanning through aircraft systems. Her expression changed as results appeared. "This looks deliberate," she whispered. "Multiple subsystems disrupted at once." Moreno didn't respond immediately. He kept his eyes forward, steady. "Focus on flying," he said quietly. "The emergency escal." Atis. Minutes later, Engine 2 lost significant power. The aircraft tilted slightly, forcing Moreno to compensate. "Control's getting hit." "Fie," he muttered. Air traffic control advised holding altitude while assessing the situation, but altitude was becoming harder to maintain. Another alarm erupted. Electrical instability warnings flooded the panel. Jenna inhaled sharply. We're losing redundancy. Moreno made the decision. Transmit distress. She switched frequencies. Mayday, mayday, mayday. Flight 728, experiencing multiple system failures. Position over Atlantic grid. Requesting immediate assistance. Silence lasted only seconds before the response came. Military coordination centers acknowledged the call. Vital support would be dispatched. Passengers begin to notice. The aircraft shook more noticeably now. Conversations stopped, eyes lifted toward the ceiling. A flight attendant reassured passengers, but unease spread. Someone asked if everything was okay. Then came another announcement, firmer this time. Ladies and gentlemen, we are addressing a technical issue. Please remain seated and follow crew instructions. Fear whispered through the cabin. The Raptors arrive. High above, 2 F-22 Raptors roared through the darkness, slicing across the sky toward the distressed jet. Within minutes, their pilots spotted the blinking lights of Flight 728 below. They eased into formation, one on each side. Inside the cockpit, Moreno finally saw them, sleek shadows guarding the aircraft. Relief flickered across his face. Escort visual confirmed. Over the radio, a fighter pilot spoke. Flight 728, this is Raptor 1. We're with you. Moreno replied steadily. Raptor 1, this is call sign Shark. Systems degrading, engines unstable. The F-22 pilots began relaying real-time environmental data, wind direction, weather pockets, and possible routes. But as they spoke, another violent warning sounded. Engine 1 faltered. Altitude dropped. The decision looms. Jenna looked at the numbers. We can't maintain this for long. Moreno scanned the dark ocean below, endless and unforgiving. No land within range. No runway. Only water. His training returned to him. Emergency ditching procedures, survival calculations, aircraft balance. It was the last option. But it might save lives. He keyed the microphone. His voice was calm, even gentle, despite the weight of the moment. Call sign Shark. I'm losing engines, preparing to land on water. The words echoed across military frequencies, heard by the F-22 pilots circling protectively nearby. In the cabin, preparations began. Flight attendants instructed PO. Zengers to brace, their calm professionalism masking the seriousness of the situation. The aircraft descended through thick clouds, the ocean surface rising closer with every passing second.